Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It, and everyone is still at home. Stay-at-home orders are still in effect for half the country, so everyone's kind of consuming as much streaming content as they possibly can via Disney Plus, Amazon, Hulu, or of course Netflix. And Netflix has consistently been putting out original content, and for the most part, it's usually always good. So I'm going to take a look at what I said I was earlier last week with the trailer reaction to Coffee and Kareem. I'm going to look at that new film and give you my thoughts about it right after the jump. Real quick, if you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know about it. Now, let's look at this movie. So, for those of you who don't know, Coffee and Kareem is a new comedy that came out April 3rd for Netflix. It's a Netflix original from the director Michael Dowles, who did Stuber, starring Ed Helms, Taraji P. Henson, David Allen Greer, Betty Gilpin, and Terrence Gardenhigh. I believe it's his first role. I don't know, but it's first time that I recognize him. In a buddy comedy, if you will. So for those of you who haven't seen my reviews before, I do the likes and the dislikes. So let's start off with the likes. So yeah, there is absolutely nothing that I like about this movie. This movie, unfortunately, would be considered to be pure, unadulterated feces. It's one of the worst things that I've seen in a long time. And I knew going in probably about 15 minutes into the film that I was getting to the point where I was hate watching the movie as opposed to actually enjoying anything that I saw. So let's get to the dislikes because that's going to be pretty lengthy here. So let's start here. The film's just not funny, and I think for as a comedy, and I know comedy can be subjective, but for me, nothing about this was funny. And I think it seemed like the director and the writer went into a room and said, "Well, I have an idea. How about a white cop banging a black woman, and the kid doesn't like it." And that's the premise. And that's literally all that they had. So it runs off like a Saturday Night Live skit or a Mad TV sketch that has gone on for 88 minutes too long. You feel these 88 minutes? I think a movie that is this short should go by pretty quick, but I was in pain watching the entire thing, and I think it was very hard to get through. I subsequently watched a film directly after that was a little bit longer, but felt like it went along a lot quicker. It's painful to watch. I don't mind vulgarity. In fact, I kind of like it, especially when it comes from kids. It gives me humor. But there's a fine line between excess and this is just vulgarity for the sake of being vulgar. I think something like Good Boys, which I mentioned in the trailer reaction to Coffee and Kareem, I like that movie, but because those kids, there was a redemption story to it, there was a heart on the other side of all that vulgarity. This is just a kid being vulgar for the sake of being vulgar, and it never really leads anywhere. It's just a one note comedy. And it sucks because there's a lot of talent on the board here. I don't know this kid well. He's delivering what I think the director and the writer are asking of him. I just don't know why they're asking him of it because it doesn't create any type of narrative within the story. It feels like this movie is part satire and part I don't know, buddy comedy, but never really lands any of them correctly. One of my big things that I just don't like, and it's starting to bother me more and more, is when you are doing comedy that uses racial stereotypes and stereotypes of African Americans and stereotypes of Detroit, which I'm from. When you're using those, you should be of that world. Now, I don't know about the writer, but I definitely know that this director is a white man from Canada. And I just feel like some of the jokes that that they try to create in this movie feel more insulting than they do laughing. It's a difference between why like I don't like Tyler Perry stuff, but I do think that Tyler Perry is allowed to do that because he is a black man. This guy's not, and so there's some things that this just rubbed me the wrong way. In addition to not just being funny, it also then starts becoming offensive. And this comedy swings from being offensive satire to like a violent shootout. Like there's someone who gets blown into pieces, and no other part of this film actually feels that way. But that one part, all of a sudden, you're like, oh, now there's a bloody body here. I just don't know what this movie was trying to go for, who it was attempting to appease. I think that in its attempt to make a broad comedy like satire and buddy comedy and racial comedy and stupid criminals, in an attempt to try to make comedy for everyone, it then makes a comedy for no one. And that it's unfortunate with all the talent that is on the board here. I think Ed Helms is a producer on this. Unfortunately, not a good look. I think it's a weird thing that people start hate watching films, but you kind of do that now while you're on streaming. The problem with that is that the way that people check or track how their films are doing is based on the entirety of the film being watching. Had I not been doing this review, about 20 minutes into the film, I would have cut it off. It's bad. And I think there are far other things that you should be watching on Netflix or Disney Plus or Hulu besides this. Tiger King's not one of them, but so I would put this and Tiger King in a box and say, yeah, we don't need to watch that. I think Ozarks, if you're not into it, you should be, but there's far better things to be watching on television in general than this movie. It's unfortunate. I did have some people recommending this to me. They said that, oh, this is actually really funny. Let me say this. I don't have a specific style of comedy. I kind of like it all, but there is one comedy that I just outright don't really enjoy, and that's spoofs. And I think some of this comedy tries to be a spoof at points in time too. A spoof would be something like Scary Movie. I don't like those movies at all. And so when you do that and then you're doing it as a Canadian white male and pointing at spots of Detroit, it just rubs me wrong. If you got enjoyment out of this, bless your heart. You need some type of levity in whatever the hell is happening in the world today. I get it. This isn't for me. This isn't my cup of tea. So I'm curious to hear, what did you guys think about this movie? Have you seen Coffee and Cream, or you hate watching it? If you were, give me your thoughts. Go leave them in the comments below. If you haven't, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast by the same name that is on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that plays podcasts. We are there. We're doing them via remote lately, so you can still see the audio here in the YouTube channel, but the audio may not be as good as it was prior to everyone being staying at home. But that's all I have for today. I'm sorry if you sat through this. Hopefully I did this before you got a chance to watch it, and this can kind of curb your thoughts of actually trying to watch this. But I usually sign off with a statement that doesn't quite fit right now, so I just want to make sure that everybody stays safe, stay healthy. Talk to your loved ones if you haven't, check on them, because it's very important that you just reach out and have, even though you can't touch everybody right now, you can at least give them your ear and let them know that you're there for them if you need to, all right? Take care, everybody.